What's up, fellow Lords of Gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. So I want to try this out a little bit differently and slow trickle some information into you guys about the game and what's going on overall. So let me jump right in. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button, like the video, helps out the algorithm. So we're going to talk about Hulk today. I'm going to give you my first impressions on the costumes overall so far and tell you Juggernaut and Absorbing Man are two of my favorite costumes inside the game. Juggernaut is an absolute powerhouse, but Juggernaut does come at a cost because he is going to cost you BIOS, and the only way to acquire his BIOS is through the monthly subscription. So you better be prepared to fork over not only the 1,000 crystals for him, but $40 for an upgrade ticket if you're really excited about Juggernaut. But I can tell you that Juggernaut is a really decent character inside this game. But for this video, what I want to focus on, that kind of gives you guys the synopsis of what I feel about the update so far. What I want to focus on inside this video, however, is the main effort, which is Hulk, or aka Null, Breaker of Worlds. So first up, let me really just iterate on the costume and his look overall. Is that I feel like these costumes are very vanilla. Something about the way the lines, the glow lines are done on the characters make them feel or look very cartoonish and flat. That's just the way I see it. Like, I am not a fan of this uniform overall, to be perfectly honest. I was expecting a little bit more detail, I guess, maybe like a little bit more pop to the characters. Like, it's easier to see on like Juggernaut or like Sabretooth or something like that, but like this uniform doesn't really kick it well for me. Now overall, you can see here that I'm at about 96.42% before I can actually push into those higher stages for Hulk. But I'm going to tell you I'm less than impressed with this uniform. And let me give you the straight ends of this uniform, right? When you purchase a uniform, the expectation that the character itself should just be getting more powerful, right? Just the uniform itself should be making the character more powerful. The great thing is that they haven't changed any of his abilities and the way they work. He still works on having your HP as high as possible, because your HP basically reflects in terms of your actual damage. So that means basically inside your gearing slots, you want to equip as many HP type Urus inside here. If you have any of the Odin's blessings for heals, you want to be throwing those on. You want to be jumping into some of your mythic enchanted Urus for HP as well. I've got some recovery rate and critical rate to make up some ground for things that were missing out on him, but you can see pretty much the tempo for this. That also means that things are a little bit different for Hulk as well, right? So underneath, for instance, his ESO 8 set over here, you can see I haven't maxed it out yet at all. There are other set bonuses that you can apply inside here. You don't have to stick with the basic Power of Angry Hulk, Overdrive, or Hawkseye. You could legitimately choose some other ones, like Stark Backing will increase your max HP by 8.5%, giving some more damage output. I Am Groot does the same thing. You can look at certain ones over here overall. Like, I think one of the most popular ones is Drastic Density. It's one of those things that's basically boosting up his HP a lot. Now, I'm not going to switch over from Power Angry Hulk. I'm not really just that inspired to min-max the character to those levels, but it is something that you can look at if you wanted to change it up or you rolled into one of those stats. Just a little bit of things for you there, right? Custom gears. I recommend that you still continue to keep a CTP of regeneration on Hulk at this point. Max HP is going to help boost up his attack stats overall. He still gains the guard break immunity and recovery rate, and then we can see like this is going to boost up yours overall. That doesn't mean that you can't go with like a CTP of authority or something like that, or change it up maybe to a rage if you want to try to use Hulk inside PvE. I think the main intent for Hulk before was that he was going to be a PvP type character. And that lies the problem, right? Let's take a look at the uniform overall, right? So number one, we've got the Fair Itself uniform inside here. I am going to max these calls out so that way you can see the uniform options. Now this is what I mean by looking at the character here. Compared to this, there was so much more detail inside this uniform in terms of musculature and looks overall that it just really amped me up compared to this one where he just kind of starts to look really smooth and flat and just my thing. I would have preferred them kept this, you know, Immortal Hulk kind of musculature and everything and then just layered this look on top of him. I get that this is more the look from the game, but yeah, it just doesn't really, I don't know, it just doesn't really hit for me really well. So, all right, so let's take a look at some of Hulk's additions inside here. So these were his previous uniform effects inside there, so that way you know that's what I'm looking at right here to help you go. So let's take a look at his previous Immortal Hulk uniform, right? So the uniform effect on these, he was getting a critical rate of 10, 50, and 10 before. Now he's the only thing that changes here is he's basically getting a 15% chain hit damage instead of 10% when he was attacking. So it's very minuscule, not a whole lot going on there. Let's take a look at some of the change skills inside here so that way we can look at these overall. Inside his previous one, his Immortal Hulk skill, World Breaker Smash Ultimate skill. Not a lot of changes here to be even talking about. I don't know why it's listed as a change inside the skill. It's still 60, 60, 20. All speed is by 20, so it's not a whole lot of change there. I think maybe the difference is that there's physical damage is doubled on the skill, so instead of just being 53% of HP, it's 106% of HP. So it does reflect a big change because his tier 3 didn't really do a lot of damage, and that's why he was just like kind of like, what the hell? So now it is doing some damage there, right? So then we look at his leader skill that he had inside here, and we basically had a all allies basic defense 24%. It's still all allies 24%, so I don't know why it's listed as a change. His enraged passive, we've got a 4% recovery of max HP now inside the ability, and we've got a 60% recovery of max HP as well. So a little bit different there, a greater recovery ability, not a bad thing at all. Then we get Gamma Overload inside of here. Instead of 15%, we creep up to 30%. Instead of 35, and we get 50% now inside the increased skill damage, and then we still get the 35% decreased basic damage received. So not bad changes overall. Let's take a look at his first skill inside here, which is now called Earthquake Hammer. Not a lot still on that skill. It's just basically just a throwaway skill, which is most first skills anyways. His second skill, we now get a 25% chance of it previously had a, so I think like his second skill, so we previously had this 25% chance of missing attacks, but that gets removed, and now we just have stun, silence, and paralysis on the skills with a remove all debuffs, which is great for PvP, right? We're removing debuff effects inside there, so a good skill to rotate to inside PvP. So his third skill, instead of being Gamma Ray Burst, we are now getting World Shatter. So this is going to still apply Fracture. We get the 50% increase of max HP on this skill, and then we get the increased base. We get this new ability in here called or at least the wording of it. He increases his basic damage by 1% per 1% HP increase. Increased damage cannot exceed 50%. So I guess you can almost look at this like an accumulation skill, though it's not really an accumulation skill. But the increased basic damage by 1% per 1% HP, that's a lot. So this is again one of those reasons why you want to see him boosted. This is going to be one of those things that you want to rotate into as well, because you're basically getting that third skill to basically trigger off, and you're going to increase the basic damage. This lasts for 10 seconds, so you're going to open up with this skill essentially, right? It's just, that's basically what it is. It's going to be that buff skill. You notice on the previous one where it was just increasing character size and it gave you that frenzy buff, it was the note to you that, hey, you know, we've got an enraged Hulk now and he's more powerful. That's the same thing that World Shatter is doing for you. On his fourth skill is now going to be called Merciless Crush. It enables attacking characters who have the ignore targeting effect. So this is great. Again, we're seeing a PvP useful skill. So this character is kind of being bred for PvP, this is how you can start to realize those things. So on this skill, we have a 33% chance to penetrate with super armor, blah, 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 instead of the 100% chance for immunity to all damage. I think I would have preferred that 100% chance. We do have invincible on the skill, where the 100% chance for immunity to all damage was, and that's for 5 seconds. So the invincible replaces the immunity to all damage. And we get the increased basic damage by 100% for 1 attack, so it's an increase there as well. I want to make note as well, because it's kind of weird to point this out, but it is important that you'll notice the physical damage is only going to be 85% of his HP instead of the 95% his HP. So a little bit of nerf with the character like what we have here for Hulk. It's kind of important to note those things, right? So then we roll into his 5th skill. Not a lot there, but it removes all the debuffs, and we that's what it was doing before. So we get that passed on to his 3rd skill now instead, or the 2nd skill. And what we have that now is it was on his 5th skill. That's passed to his 2nd skill. What we get now is Fracture, another PvP skill. He deals 50% burn damage for every 1 second for 5 seconds, and then he gets that 100% chance for immunity to all damage. Is basically moved from his 4th skill to his 5th skill. That's essentially what we're looking down the barrel at with a character like Hulk, right? So kind of cool. Now, Hulk's Striker skill is going to be where we start to see some improvements, because this is basically going to be his tier 4 advancement skill. And this one increases the final damage dealt by 200% to the target with a higher max HP than the character, or it decreases the final damage received by 50% from the target with a lower max HP than the character. Not exactly sure how that was gonna work, but basically you can imagine that, like, how many characters are gonna have higher max HPs than you at certain points in the battle, or how many people but either way, you're basically getting a benefit, right? Is either decreasing the final damage or is increasing the final damage. So somebody's gonna really have to kick your ass basically in order to take you out of the game. That's essentially what you're looking at there, right? So let's check out these skills. I think I had the wrong uniform equipped, so let me go back. Let's take a look at these skills, and then I'll basically show you guys the rotation, and we'll pass it along from there. So let's go back to this, because I forgot to I could just press change right up there. I'm so stupid. So let's go up here to no break. Oh man, I forgot to show you guys this. Okay, so we'll have to do this anyways. Now, we don't need to necessarily use all of these. This is one of those good benefits about getting VIP inside of here, so we can see these effects. You know what, before I do this, let's just go take a look at the preview effects. I want to see the skills. I see the skills, right? Well, I've already seen the skills, but you know what I mean. So then I'm going to show you what the rotation probably is going to look like for a Hulk as well. Let's go. All right, so here we are inside the skills. Let's take a look at that one skill. You can see he just does like it's a nice gap closer, and it does have a nice area effect inside of it, right? But nothing literally happened. You're not gonna do a lot with this skill. This 2 skill actually looks cool to me because he does like a little bit of damage on this skill, and he does apply some effects, obviously, but the thing I dislike about this skill is how much it spreads the targets. You can see here from where the 3 targets were, and then they get spread out. So inside certain areas, this could be good and it could be bad, right? But now we get into the main meat and potatoes of his skill. So let's look at his 3rd skill, where he basically powers up. He does change a little bit in size. If you notice, he gets a little bit more musculature in his backside as well. And then we get this nice indicator of electricity to basically know that we got Hulk powered up. Now pay attention up here, because you can see when the skill effect is actually taking effect, and is right in the beginning of the skill. So that means that you can automatically cancel out of that skill very quickly. You don't have to stay on the skill to get those buffs and bonuses. Now you notice that it doesn't appear to affect the enemy, right? The fracture doesn't affect them until he slams down. Now the concern with this is whether or not he's going to be interrupted for that, right? Now, 4th skill. The 4th skill is really cool. He basically does a nice whirling tornado with his hammer, and then continues to interrupt the skills, right? And you can see that was a lot of damage played out in that skill, right? Boom, boom, and then wow, 144 hits of damage, right? That's nice. His 5th skill, you get this nice, I guess, weapon charge up that we have, and you can see the lingering effects of that weapon charge, right? you can see at the end, we get the burn and we get the fracture inside there. But notice when the burn and when the fracture takes effect. You literally have to wait to the end of the animation pretty much for that to happen. Now the cool thing is canceling out of the 5th skill, right? Because essentially you can go 5, wait for the hammer to strike, and then you can roll into another skill and notice that the effects of the 5th skill are still happening. So that's your cue for canceling. If you cancel before then, you do not get the skill damage that's happening. 5, notice I cancel it and nothing happens. So you have to wait till this happens. So delay, cancel on 5. I hope that makes sense for you guys. So essentially, we're looking at that. So how are you going to do off rotations for Hulk? Is basically you're going to rotate into 3 so that way you can get the power up from the boost. You don't have to wait because this is not going to really do a whole lot on the fracture to you at all, but you're probably going to want to roll into 3, 5, delay, cancel, and then rotate into 4. And that should give you probably your best chances at utilizing the skill in terms of off rotation for Hulk from when your T3 is not up. Now, if you were looking at his T3, you'll notice that on Hulk's T3, he basically has an 80% chance to penetrate. He also gets a increased attack buff by 60% in all basic defense. So he gets a frenzy buff on his World Breaker skill. Now the kit didn't have a lot of damage on it before, but if you're not aware, the majority of the damage is basically happening on his 4th skill. We get the 33% chance to penetrate the armor, we get the invincible, and we get the increased basic damage by 100% for 1 attack. So we kind of want to finish out on that skill. So this is what the rotation is going to be without the striker skill inside there. Probably the best way to run this is going to be 3, 5, delay the cancel so that way it goes, and then roll into 6, and then roll right out of his 6 into the 4th skill. So I do believe there's a cancel time frame for delay cancel into the 6 and then to go into the 4. I have to figure it out a little bit more and play with it, but that's essentially what you're looking at. So if you're playing as the character off skill, pretty easy. 3, delay cancel 5, and then go right into 4 for his skills, rotate into here. Now notice that his striker ability, like I said to you, is kind of like a really weird thing, right? Because it's not necessarily one of those skills that are essentially powering up the character necessarily, because you're increasing the final damage dealt. So you could really summon the 5th skill, the striker skill, at any point in the animation, because it's just the final damage dealt, you know. So it's like that's going to be up for 10 seconds, and the way he's running, you can pretty much rotate through your entire skill chain in 10 seconds, right? So like, watch this. We can go here for this. We can go 3, 1, 2, 3, 5 into this. I kind of messed up the rotation. Then into 6, where we roll into Hulk, coming down, and then right into 4, where we can do damage. So like, that's 10 seconds, right? And that's me messing up the rotation inside there. 3, boom, 5, hammer, delay, cancel, and then into 4. See the way that works? Then we can go straight from there into here. 3, 5, hammer down, 6, and then roll right into. That's essentially what you're looking at. The Hulk. I'm pretty sure somebody else will have some better animation or some better rotations and stuff like that. I'll figure them out. The question is how good is Hulk, right? And here goes the problem that I have with Hulk. We have a uniform that is supposed to make the character stronger. The problem is that if you PvP Hulk inside the game, he doesn't feel any more powerful with this uniform. You basically have a character that's losing to some characters, losing to other characters. So you're taking a risk the same way we took a risk with Moon Knight in terms of seeing whether or not his level 80 is going to be stronger or whether his T4 is going to be stronger. Well, if you go and watch Cynic Alex video, or you go and watch Beast Mode Gaming video, you can even watch Moonbro or Forgo Nation. They've already done some runs. I think Cynic Alex was the only one to get him to T4 already, and the results to me were a mixed bag, right? It's gonna probably take a little bit more work, but basically I know most players autoplay timeline battles, so it's not gonna be one of these things where it's like, yeah, man, this is really, really freaking great for the character, because I don't think that he's that great. And that's at T4. I've seen Cynic Alex play with him at T4 at this point. Is he bad? No. Is he great? No. So it becomes another one of those things where the uniform didn't make him any more powerful than some of the beasts inside PvP, like Thanos or like Adam Warlock or, you know, Emma Frost. It didn't make him any more powerful. So that means that what we're looking at down the road is that this character is doesn't have the impact of a tier 4 inside the PvP game mode. And as we get down the pipe with the character as well, we're probably looking at a character that's going to be eclipsed at some point really soon, because as we get more and more of these characters boosted up, they're just not going to be able to compete. That's just the way I'm looking at it. You know, I could be off, and that could be me, but I don't really think that, you know, this is going to be a uniform that is going to appeal to a lot of the player base, because they're looking for impacts, especially with the cost of tier 4 in characters. I can tell you it's a lot. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of you guys are tier 4 in characters out there, and you just still do not know how to play the characters. That's just the truth of the matter, but you know, it is what it is. So in terms of uniform options, you can see here, the first one was Blue Marvel, the next one is Green Goblin. These are great uniform options. They're all free to play options as well so far. Let's take a look at what we got else in here. The next one is that's a terrible uniform option, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm not ecstatic about that. So we got Winter Soldier as a uniform option in his third slot. I mean, I think that is the most recent uniform for Winter Soldier, so it's not bad. I know people are going to look at that weird, but I'm not a huge Winter Soldier fan in his own right, so seeing a Winter Soldier uniform is not exactly moving me in any shape or way. But it is one of his uniforms inside there, and I can tell you, I don't think I actually have that uniform. I have to take a look at it again. The next one up is Kingo. Not bad. I don't think Kingo really has a place anymore in the game. That's just me saying what I feel. I don't think that he's one of the lesser used Eternals. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. Does he have a usage in the game at this point? I don't really think so. So it's kind of a wasted option for me, in my opinion. And then lastly, what do we have here is who do we have here for the last one? So we have Blue Marvel, Green Goblin, Winter Soldier, and then Kingo. Our last mythic option over here. Now, remember, the VIP status is what allows me to basically roll in here and only have to use half of the amount of the uniform XP chips in order to level up this character. So let's get this done. And let's upgrade that uniform. So it's Jean Grey, Marvel Girl. Now, yeah, I never purchased that uniform. I was just not a fan of the uniform, so I don't have that uniform option, unfortunately. Jean Grey, Marvel Girl. I don't think I'll purchase it just for this. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that uniform. And like I said, I think I purchased this Falcon and Winter Soldier uniform, but I don't think I ever leveled it up. I actually did purchase it, but that's funny. I purchased it, but I never leveled it up. I wonder why I did that. Like, must have just been that bad. But there you guys go. This is that's Hulk. I'm on the fence about tier 4 in him. He is one of my favorite characters, but this does appear to be a pretty lackluster tier 4 in terms of a combat character. Especially to have skipped the speed characters. Obviously, we're waiting for Spider-Man's 60-year anniversary celebration, and maybe we'll get a speed character there. But yeah, we're looking at Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk coming out, so we're more than likely looking at uniforms for those, which are combat classes as well, coming up. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you enjoying Hulk? Are you enjoying the Breaker of Worlds? Hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Until next time, peace.